And we are live, Dawn here with Romance Happy Hour, and I am joined by alter egos, Eve London and Dylan Crush.
Yes.
Hello, Eve. How are
Hi,
you?
I'm two people tonight.
Yes. Yes. So how was Eve tonight?
Eve is good.
Yeah.
Eve is ready. Yeah. I don't
Good.
have I been on here as Eve before? I'm not sure.
Once. I think one
Okay.
time. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my memory is
When
like,
when you spoiled it for everybody, you were like, okay, fine, I
oh,
need to come
right.
out of the closet.
That's right. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And then how's Dylan? Dylan's good too.
Dylan is good too. Yeah, both of us are doing really well. My multiple personalities.
Yeah.
So, yeah, funny
Um,
enough, they're doing actually pretty much the same.
Good. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
amazing.
both of me.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
although Eve did have a book release, yesterday. Was it only
so
yesterday? Yes, it feels like yeah, the ninth. It feels like a lifetime ago already, but it was only yesterday, and then, I have another book release coming out on the 15th for Eve as well. So so it's a busy month for Eve. Dylan,
yeah.
not so much.
So how does Eve feel about that? I mean, is she like overwhelmed with book release? Like when I mean, are you and also is Dylan dealing with it well?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
It's
good.
weird though because, um, we'll talk about it later, but yeah. So I do have a book release every other month as Eve, just
Mm.
because of the Shared World series that I do with Casey Rose, and so yeah, so you would think that maybe I should try to, you know, plan them out instead of having 2 books released in 1 month, maybe I could have a book release on the month in between, but it just doesn't work out that way sometimes.
Mhm.
So yeah, and right after being gone, on vacation last week, so
Yeah, where did you go again? Remind our
a lot to come
viewers.
back to. I don't think I told anybody I was going, but I went to the Dominican Republic. We
Oh,
have never been there
oh,
before, and it was absolutely beautiful. So,
nice. And
yes.
warm, I bet. Warm.
It wasn't just warm, it was hot. It was nice. There was a nice breeze most of the time, but the air conditioner in our room didn't work very well, and so I mean, before we went live, we were talking about, like
Yeah.
like growing up in one part of the country and moving to another, and I think, most of our viewers know I grew up in Texas and now I live in Minnesota, and so, I feel like I kinda lost that ability to deal with the heat, and it was fine during the day because there was a nice breeze, but the air conditioner in our room did not work very well, and so our room at night was, like 78, 80 degrees, and I was not okay with that because I am, as again, we were talking about earlier, a woman of a certain age, and just when I start to get a little bit hot, then it just, like, amplifies, and
Yeah.
so yeah, so that was I hate to say, like, that was really difficult to deal with on vacation in the Dominican Republic, but yeah, I was hot. Um, but, I just had to have more piña coladas to make up for that,
Nice. Yeah.
so it's all
Wait,
good.
but drinking makes me hotter. Hotter. Hot.
But if you have enough piña coladas, then you don't care if you're hot, you
That's
just
true.
start
Yeah.
removing clothing, and then you're fine, so
I
which
thought
I'm
that
not
was
saying I did that.
tequila. Tequila
Well,
makes her
tequila
clothes come
makes
off.
her clothes fall off. That is a song. You're
Yeah.
right. That is a song.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So completely forgot what it was in my brain.
that's all right. We are, down a guest tonight. We were
Yes.
anticipating talking with Sierra London, I guess we should tell people, and she was not feeling well,
Yeah.
so that's why I'm standing in as 2 people tonight. So I'm gonna
Yes.
read from Eve's newest release this evening.
And oh, that's what it was. What are you working on besides that? Besides releases?
Oh, well, besides that, I'm still waiting to hear back on a proposal that is out.
Okay.
And other than that, I'm working on, I mean, I've always got stuff going for Eve, and then I have, another Dylan book that's coming out this summer. That's book 2 in my, Bad Boys of Newbridge series. So it's I can't talk. Betting on the Bad Boy was the first book, and then I have Betting on the Bartender is coming out this summer, so
Awesome.
yeah.
I have not read that one.
No.
So you can safely say that I will not spoil
No spoilers.
no spoilers, no word vomits or anything like that. So
How about you, Dawn? What are you working on?
just
Fill us
the
in, and then we'll get to talk to Mary.
yeah. I'm just still working on my American historical, and
Okay.
I just started my new job 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it is amazing because I have zero anxiety compared to real estate.
Good.
So, and I have time. So
Good.
I'm really excited that I can finally start really actually working on
I'm
my
glad
book.
it's been a good fit.
Yeah, it's really good fit. I did have to like go from one event to this one tonight. Like I rushed home because we were having like an event tonight. But I told everybody like I'm doing a podcast. Well, it's actually like a live. So like come see us. I don't know if anybody is. Probably not. I don't know. We got a couple viewers, more viewers than normal, but other than that, yes. So we are joined by Emmy Taylor, or Mary, as she said, we can call her on
Yeah.
Romance Happy Hour. Hello, Mary. How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you, Dawn?
I'm good. And you are joining us from Florida, which I am very jealous about because it's been very cold here in Montana still.
Mm-hmm. It's
So
lovely here.
I am
Not too
jealous.
hot yet. It's gonna get there though.
Yeah. And why don't you tell our readers a little bit about yourself, what you're reading from tonight, and anything you really want them to know.
Yeah, sure. I am actually a professional ghostwriter and editor. So I've got a lot of books out there that I've written for other people. I write under a couple different pseudonyms, just depending on the genre. I've recently released this one here, Hot Revenge. It was the first high heat contemporary romance novel that I put out for myself.
Ooh.
Oh.
So very exciting. It's the first in a 4-book series. I put it out with Last Chapter Press. And in addition to this book here, I've got 4 more books coming out this year. So they're slated in the pipeline.
Busy.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, can you tell us who you've ghostwritten for? Is there anybody big? Just tell us if
Under-
there's
No,
anybody
Dawn,
big.
that's the point of a ghostwriter.
yeah,
I know,
He's a
but
ghost.
give us hint. Any big time like huge?
there might be a couple that you know if you read a lot of romance, which of course you all
Mhm.
do. I work with a lot of contemporary romance authors more than anything else. That's kind of my niche there. So there's a few, but of course they've got the NDAs. I've been in the publishing industry since 2014, so
Okay.
there's quite a few out there.
And how did you decide to ghostwrite?
Actually, my first book was a paranormal romance that's under a different name, and I started writing. I actually started editing after that. Once my first book came out, I fell in love with the whole process, and that's when I started editing. And then I think it was when COVID happened, when the pandemic came, I decided I wanted to do that full time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had one of my clients come to me and say, "Hey, I need a ghostwriter. Mine fell through, and would you be interested in trying it?" And I fell in love with it. And since then, I've been doing it full time. It's been great.
Mm.
I get to write for a living. It's fabulous.
So, are you still ghostwriting? So you're putting out like several books a year as a ghostwriter, and also you're putting out how many books for yourself this year?
Yes, ma'am. I sure am.
Okay.
All of them. Yeah. It's great though, because literally that's all I do is write and read, read and
Mm-hmm.
write. Great.
Mm-hmm. You must write very quickly then.
I've gotten it down to a science. I've
Okay.
gotten, I know I dedicate this many hours, I'll get this many words, and then I know how many hours I need to write a day. And I edit more than I write really, but there are a couple of clients that I have that I put out a book for every month. They like to,
Oh,
but
wow.
they're shorter books. They're not, 30 to 50,000 words. They're not long.
Okay.
Okay, so we've had some fast writers on this show.
Hmm.
What is the most words? What is, I've been drinking. It's romance happy hour.
Good for
Um,
you.
what are the most words you've written in one day?
20,000 words.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
was because I had a client who had a ghostwriter bail, And she came to me last minute. I'm supposed to have this out next week. I need it ASAP. So I literally started, my husband will tell you, I locked myself in the bedroom at 6 o'clock in the morning and I did not come out until about midnight.
Oh my
And
God.
nobody was allowed in.
Wow.
Nobody was allowed out.
I
And
hope you were very well compensated for that.
it was definitely a rush job and they paid accordingly.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But they needed time to get it to their editor. And then,
Mhm.
And are you still married after that?
I am. Oh my gosh, I have the most
Yay!
supportive husband in the world. He would.
That's awesome.
I think
Yeah.
he's on here out in the living room, actually.
Oh, I love that. My husband used to come. Now he's a fuddy-duddy now. He doesn't like to join the romance happy hour, but if
Well, he's
he's
a musician, so he has a
Oh.
show every weekend at least, if not several days a week. So I go to those and he reads my books. So that's kind of our
Oh,
deal.
that's a nice trade-off.
okay.
Right?
Or not trade-off, but a reciprocal
Yes.
relationship. Yes.
Tell us hi in the comments, hubby. Um, we love husbands here. We had one author that came on who she had like laryngitis, right, when she
Aw.
came.
Mhm.
And so her husband came and read for her.
How
And
Yeah,
sweet.
it was
our
was
viewers
really
just
cute.
ate it up. We loved it. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes. And I mean, we've been doing this now for how many years? And I don't think I could ever even get my husband to come on the camera. So,
Mhm.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah. He
I think
wouldn't
we've
want
heard his
to call, he
voice
left.
once, maybe. Maybe.
I don't know. I
I
think you
remember.
probably heard my dog. You probably have
Yeah.
had, more likely that you've heard my dog than my husband.
Yeah.
He tends to avoid the entire, I mean, I'm in my office with the door shut, but yeah, he tends to avoid everything when I'm saying I'm going live for Romance Happy Hour. So
Yeah.
He goes in his man cave. Did you give your husband a man cave? Does he
We
have a
don't,
man cave?
I mean, yeah, we'll call the garage his man cave.
Mine too. We're on the
He
same
loves it.
page.
He loves to go out there and just tinker. I let
Yeah.
him go have his fun.
What about you, Dylan?
my husband has an office because he works from home full time now. I mean, he works for corporate. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Nice. We should put that up there real quick. Oh, but my
Aw,
mouse.
yeah, do it.
I was gonna say my mouse just lost connection. There we go. Hi,
Oh, there you
Darren. We're
go.
glad you're here.
Hi. We love husbands.
He's so funny.
Especially husbands who are super supportive and very proud of their wife. That's awesome.
Very much so. Yes.
But yeah, my hubby has been working from home full time since COVID, really. So we had to turn one of our kids. I have two college kiddos who are not home. And we turned a bedroom into an office for him. So yeah, so we each have our own office, and I sit in my office all day long, and he sits in his on the other side of the house. And sometimes we'll yell to each other, and sometimes we'll meet downstairs in the kitchen for lunch, and it's it's great fun. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would say that's his man cave. But anyways,
Yeah. Well, we should start hearing from you, Dylan, if we want to
oh,
get any kind of questions in.
okay,
I mean, I'm sorry, Eve. Eve, Eve is
that's
reading
okay.
tonight.
I'm pulling double duty tonight. And since I'm a last minute reader, I haven't gone over this or anything. Actually, I was going to show you the picture on my Kindle, but it's not very impressive because it's not in color, right? So I don't think I will even show you the picture.
Okay. Dylan, I did forget to tell Mary one thing. So
Uh-oh, what's that?
in our brief, yes, I was rushing our brief, just all of our viewers. Sorry, that's my fault. My bad.
Okay.
Mary,
Yes.
when Dylan goes up there, we'll be off camera and
Okay.
we'll be muted. I totally forgot to tell her. Okay.
You
There
could
you
have
go.
probably put that in the comments, or in the chat, Dawn, but that's okay.
It's easier. It's
Totally
easier now.
joking. Oh, there we are. All right. So tonight I am filling in and I am reading from Protector of Misty Mountain, and I don't have a picture. I will go while Mary's reading. I'll go get my iPad and I'll pull it up there in color. But this book just came out yesterday, and it is in a collaboration called Misty Mountain, and it's a series of mountain men. These are steamy short novellas. And I'm going to start in chapter 2. It's in the heroine's point of view. Chapter 1, just to give you a little bit of backstory, is when the hero he finds out that he lives at the top of a mountain and he's in town. He goes into town once a month because he makes custom knives, and he goes into town to drop them off at the store and pick up his supplies for the month. And then he goes back up the mountain. And so all we've missed so far is he's in town doing the order, and he finds out that his neighbor, he had passed away, and he finds out that the niece is moving in. So, and that's Griff. So I'm starting in chapter 2, and this is in Juniper's point of view. The silence hit harder than I expected. No traffic, no neighbors, no sirens wailing down Lakeshore Drive. Just trees and shadows and the hum of my own second guessing. I looked around the inside of the lodge, wondering where to start. With the afternoon light fading fast, I needed to spend more time getting ready for my first night than snapping pictures outside with my camera. Even after only being at the top of the mountain for a couple of hours, I could understand why my uncle loved this piece of land. He'd only been gone for a few months, but the lodge felt empty and lifeless. I'd been prepared to do some cleaning, but hadn't been ready for the all-consuming silence. After what I'd been through over the past year, I'd wanted a complete break with my old life. As I looked around the rustic interior, I realized I might have gotten much more than I'd wished for. Sidebar, the heroine is a city girl from Chicago. I should have said that. All right. That was my style, though, jumping into uncharted waters with both feet. My parents had warned me not to move to Colorado, tried to flat out forbid it, but that had only made me want it more. There was no way I could turn back. I might have been a little naive about what to expect, but I had a spine of steel, just like the tall, unyielding skyscrapers where I grew up in Chicago. I wouldn't give up on my first night. What do you think, Appy? I picked up the cat I'd had since high school. He let out a grumpy meow, but didn't struggle. It might have been selfish to bring him with me, but I didn't want to do this alone. Everything's going to be okay, right? He didn't answer, just looked around in disdain. I set him down in a well-worn leather recliner and pulled up the mountain-themed playlist I'd made on my phone to cut through the silence. Once I made up the bed with my new flannel duvet, I'd feel more settled. I sanitized the small bathroom, grateful for the indoor plumbing, then chased dust from the bookshelves. By the time I stopped to take a break, the sun had started to dip below the horizon. I took a sip of water from my insulated bottle and shivered. With night falling, the temperature was dropping with it. I looked around for a thermostat so I could adjust the temperature. The only thing I could find that looked capable of producing heat was a giant black stove sitting in the corner. Approaching it with a mix of caution and curiosity, I realized it might be the only thing standing between me and frostbite. Even though the temperature was already warm enough to walk along Lake Michigan in nothing but a t-shirt and shorts back home, I shivered underneath my sweatshirt and leggings. Figuring out how to build a fire in its belly had just become my top priority. I looked around for some clue as to how to go about it. A few logs sat in a pile behind the stove. I picked one up and screamed as a small animal darted underneath the stove. The log dropped onto my foot. Hopping around on one leg, I rubbed my toes. Did you see that? Glaring at Appy, I nudged my chin toward the stove. Do something. The fluffy Persian ignored me. His tongue flicked out and he licked his front paw. I set my injured foot down on the wide, well-worn plank floor, testing it before I tried to balance my weight on both feet. We're in this together. You're supposed to be in charge of creepy, crawly things. And rodents, I added. And snakes. And anything else we find that I'm not equipped to handle. Appy blinked, totally unimpressed. Fine, I'll take care of it myself. Glancing around the small space, I located a broom in the corner of the kitchen. Hobbling back to the stove with the broom in hand, I gently poked underneath. Nothing happened. The poor critter was probably more scared of me than I was of him. At least that's what my nanny used to say when we'd come across a spider or some other insect during long weekends at my family's lake home on the shores of Lake Michigan. I didn't believe her then, and I sure as heck didn't feel that way now, not with my heart beating 1,000 beats per minute. Come on, little guy, it's time for you to vacate the premises. I tapped the broom on the floor, hoping the critter would show itself out. Glancing at the door, I shook my head. I couldn't expect it to leave if I had it trapped inside. I clutched the broom like a weapon and crossed the room to throw the door open. Standing on the other side, a threat 1,000,000,000 times scarier than a tiny mouse scowled at me. My mouth went dry and my eyes widened. The man was tall and broad and staring at me like I'd trespassed onto his mountain and driven over his last nerve in the process. Of course he was wearing flannel, a shirt unbuttoned halfway to reveal a plain white tee underneath. His sleeves were shoved to his elbows, showing off strong, muscled forearms. With a thick salt and pepper beard and shaggy, shoulder-length hair covered by a gray knit beanie, He looked like he'd just come from wrestling a bear. I forgot about the mouse as his sharp gaze swept over me. It felt like he was evaluating me for weaknesses, and I had no doubt he'd find plenty. Can I help you? I shot a quick glance at my purse, where it hung over the back of a chair about 10 feet away. Growing up in the city, I'd always carried a small arsenal of personal safety gadgets. The emergency whistle on my keychain might not do any good, but even the mountain man in front of me would react to the pepper spray in the front pocket. You're going to freeze without a fire. He brushed past me and headed straight toward the stove. And you are? Hesitant to follow him, I watched from the doorway as he opened the front panel and started stacking logs inside. He didn't answer. Instead, he pulled something out of his pocket and wedged it under the logs. Then he reached up over the stove and grabbed a long, skinny match from a box hanging on the wall. Careful, there was a mouse in the woodpile. It ran under the stove. I stayed back, still not sure if he was there to save me or slay me. Between him and the mouse, I stood a much better chance against the rodent. Probably more than one. He knelt down, struck the match, and slid it inside the stove. Whatever he'd set in there caught fire right away. I was so relieved I wouldn't freeze to death that I refused to acknowledge the fact that there might be a whole family of mice sharing my space. Convinced he wasn't there to kill me, I ventured a little closer and held out my hand. Hi, I'm Juniper. My Uncle Caleb left me this place. He stood, towering over me by at least a foot, and ignored my outstretched hand. I live up the road. Your cat's not a mouser. I followed his gaze to where Appy sprawled out on the chair. Not much of a guard cat either, I said, expecting a laugh or at least a smile. His expression didn't change. You shouldn't be here. Says who? He wasn't the first person to think I was in over my head, and I doubted he'd be the last. If you're going to say things like that, you at least ought to give me your name. Griff. Okay, then. Under different circumstances, I might have said it was nice to meet him or try to find out if he'd known my uncle very well. But I got the impression Griff wasn't much of a conversationalist. Just getting him to utter his one-syllable name felt like a major accomplishment. He pulled something out of his jacket pocket and handed it to me. If the fire goes out, you can use this to get it going again. The bundle must have been some sort of fire-starting device. I turned it over in my hands, wondering what went into it and if he'd made it himself. Thank you. I didn't expect... I stopped myself before I admitted I was in a little over my head. My guess was that Griff could already tell, and I didn't want to give him any more reason to run me off the mountain. I didn't expect Uncle Caleb to have such close neighbors. We're not that close. I'm about a mile up the road. He bent down and peered under the stove. When he got up, he held a tiny mouse by the tail. I'll put it outside, but it's probably just going to come in again. You need to get some steel wool and caulk from the general store. Seal up any holes to keep them out of the house. Okay. I stayed back while the mouse waved its tiny feet in the air trying to right itself. And I wouldn't let your cat outside. Mr. Aperture von Whiskerstein, I said. As soon as the words were out of my mouth, I regretted them. I thought Appy's name was cute, but it made me sound like a spoiled snob. Griff's brows arched, and he grunted. I'm a photographer. Aperture is one of the settings on a camera. Biting down on my lip, I forced myself to stop speaking. Griff grunted again and turned to go. Keep him inside. There are a lot of critters who wouldn't mind making a quick snack out of him. Appy cracked an eyelid. I rushed over and picked him up. His feet had never so much as touched the grass, but I worried that something bigger than a mouse would find its way into the cabin and make off with my only companion. I followed Griff to the door with Appy in my arms. Even with the mouse dangling in midair, the cat didn't express any interest. Your uncle was a friend of mine. I'm sorry for your loss. Griff paused, like he thought about saying more, but then he stepped off the porch and gave the mouse a gentle toss into the brush. Good night, Juniper. I stood half in, half out of the doorway and watched him disappear into the trees. The tail of his flannel shirt flickered in the cold breeze like a warning flag. I'd either just made my first friend or encountered my first problem. Only time would tell the difference. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sorry. It's like, yeah. I wanted to say something else, but I was multitasking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could tell by the end, the end of your voice. Anyways, it was good.
So yeah, so that is one of, I think there are 12 books, and they're all just they're slightly connected, as a lot of the collaborations are, but
yeah. So these are mountain men.
Mhm.
And how many do you have out so far?
Well, this one's the collaboration, so I only have the one book in this series that's mine, but Eve has, under Eve, I've written a bunch of mountain men.
Yeah.
So, and
So
this one, what was a little confusing about this is I was finishing up edits and everything for this book, and that's in the Misty Mountain series. And then my book that comes out on the 15th is the fourth book in our Bad Boys of Mustang Mountain series. And so I just was so paranoid that I was going to get Misty Mountain and Mustang Mountain mixed up.
so which one's in Montana?
Misty Mountain is in Colorado and Mustang Mountain
Is
is
in
in
Montana.
Montana. And the
Gotcha.
Mustang Mountain books are the ones that we're on our third season of that. We've done we did the Mountain Men of Mustang Mountain. They're all mountain men, but we did like the Mountain Men of Mustang Mountain, and then we did the Mustang Mountain Riders, which was
Oh,
MC. And then this
ooh.
season, this year, we're doing the Bad Boys of Mustang Mountain. So my hero in that book is a reformed playboy. And so the first chapter opens up and he's, kind of like coming off a one night stand with a woman. So I figured, that might not be the best book to just read the first chapter of
Gotcha.
on here, because then you already know them, that the hero is a little bit of a playboy.
Okay.
But
And he just happens
comes
to come across this girl who's trying to start a fire in the mountains in her
well,
cabin.
that was the other book. In this book,
Oh, I'm
yes,
confused.
he's
Sorry.
the neighbor, and
Okay.
he knows that she's moving in, and he sees he in the chapter 1, he's in town and he hears that she's moving in. He doesn't want neighbors. And then he watches her he goes over and checks out the lodge through his binoculars, and he can see that she's moved in and all that. And then when he doesn't see smoke coming from the chimney, he knows she's in trouble. So he goes to help reluctantly, as most grumpy, growly, reclusive mountain men do, right?
I was just gonna say, as most Montanans do, they sit there and stare at you like, okay, yeah, you got it, you nailed it. You nailed it for Montana mountains. Anyways, I don't, is this Colorado? I'm so confused. Is
It's all
this
right.
Colorado or Montana?
This one was the Colorado one.
Okay, but they're all the same. It's all the Rocky Mountains. So
Yes.
yes. Oh, Linda. Linda could
Linda's
not
so
have.
sweet.
She would not have minded you reading the first
I
chapter.
know.
It could
Linda's
have
so
been a
nice.
little dangerous for the PG-13 viewing that we have. So
It's
I'm
all
just
good.
okay.
It's all good.
We do have a question, but I don't think it's for Mary,
It's
actually.
not for me. I know. It's from
Not
Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. Yeah, you can ask the
scrolling.
question. You can ask.
Scrolling. Yeah. Right.
You
There we
can
go.
ask
Oh,
it.
it's Linda. Wait. Oh, okay. We have two questions. I missed Jennifer's. Linda's. Okay, this one's for you, Mary. I
Okay.
mean, Dylan, unless you want to answer, have you written PNR?
I have not written PNR. No, I have not.
Okay. So, Mary.
So that's kind of complicated. I do still write it, just not for myself. Because I write for so many other people, I kind of had to pick something for myself and and really zero in on that if I was going to put things out on any regular basis. And contemporary romance is really kind of my favorite. I think the last time I published any PNR was I want to say 2019. It's been a minute, but the books are most of them are still out there. It's just under a different name.
I was gonna say, like, what's your favorite? But you answered that one, which was
Yeah.
the contemporary. So I mean, which ones do you get lost in the most, though? Do you get lost in contemporary the most, or do you get lost in like paranormal the most?
I mean, I think reading it, if I'm reading it, definitely fantasy and paranormal. The problem is it requires so much world building and it
Mhm.
requires a lot more dedication in the planning phase than contemporary does.
Mhm.
Contemporary, for me personally, my shtick, if you will, is I like to take common tropes and put a little spin on them so it doesn't feel entirely cliche. And it's easier to do that with contemporary, I think, because especially like werewolves, for example. People want their fated mates.
Mhm.
You can't stray too far from the expectations there, really, in a lot of those. So for reading fantasy, I get lost in more, but for writing, I just enjoy writing contemporary more.
Nice.
So give us an example of one of your twisted tropes. I'm
Yeah.
interested to hear what you mean by that.
So, for example, for the second book in this Sarasota Scandal series that's coming out in June, instead of a runaway bride, it features a runaway groom.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and
Fun.
then in the fourth book, it's going to be instead of a billionaire male, it's going to be a billionaire female,
Okay.
And then I've got another book coming out where it's it's kind of a modge podge of tropes, really. Like this one, for example, that we're going to be reading from today. It's a friends to lovers, but also a revenge romance at the same time. So it likes to, they like to intermingle, if you will.
Mhm. Okay. Fun.
I again had questions that I forgot.
Mhm.
I'm blaming it on my hair color tonight because I am just exhausted and like I mean, I can't remember a lot of things. I have a kid with a fever, so it was like
Oh,
bouncing back and forth all day long. But when I remember, I'm gonna write it down this time because it was actually like it was legit questions. Oh, wait, nope. It was almost there, but it's not anymore. Okay, so we'll go on to Jennifer's until I remember. Do any of you work more than one project at a time?
Go ahead, Mary.
oh, yeah, it's kind of required for me. I try to stick to the couple clients that I have that I ghostwrite for, and then work on one project for myself at a time, because any more than that, I'm going to go cross-eyed and I'm not going to get anything straight. So,
Do you keep Bibles then, like for your stories? Or
yeah, I have folders that upon folders, and I'm very old school. So like I've got the cork boards for my own stuff, for example, and I like to write things instead of type them. So there's a lot of paper scattered everywhere.
Mhm. Do you go back and forth between your own and your ghostwriting?
So usually what I'll do is I'll say, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm working on this. And then Thursday, Friday, I'm working on this. And the weekend, I'll put, say, to my own books. So I've got dedicated days for each project that I'm working on.
Now this next question is, and it's more for your husband. Does she ever take any days off?
Oh, dear.
I don't know if you will answer it correctly because sometimes authors are like, yeah, I do, but they actually don't.
I don't really, but I will say most of the time I'm not working all day. It's a half a day's work, and it doesn't feel like work for me.
Yeah.
It doesn't, because I love writing so much. It doesn't feel like it.
Hmm. That's fantastic.
I get
Was-
that you're getting my brain going here. So like trying to remember. How do you keep everything straight and like come up with your ideas? I mean, I know a lot of times. Oh, he says no.
I figured.
Yeah, he says no. You do not take any time off. Yeah, I saw that one coming too, though. So like sometimes I get my ideas in the shower. So where do you get your ideas from?
Um, I guess maybe as I'm reading or writing for on one project, so I'll get like a spin-off idea, kind of like Yellowstone. That's kind of one of my favorite shows right now. You can
Mhm.
latch onto something and run with it that's similar but not identical. And I guess I pull from all of the wonderful books around me.
And Dylan's probably tired of hearing this, but fun fact, I was on Yellowstone and it's filmed where I live.
Really? Oh my
Yes.
gosh. That is
So if you
amazing.
ever want to come and have coffee with me, I live in Montana, Darby, Montana. It's
Oh my
about
gosh.
800 people. You won't miss me. Just come visit. Just come visit. So yeah.
I've told my husband, like, we literally drove from Florida to Idaho, and the one state that we didn't go through that I really wanted to go to was Montana. So that's on my
Yeah.
list.
It's 4 hours north, up God, 93. So just leave if you need to, you just leave when he's sleeping. You'll be back by the end of the day, and we'll have coffee.
Awesome. It's a
I'm
plan.
gonna say, for a lot of people that live up in that area, driving 4 hours for coffee is probably not a big deal.
Yeah, that's true. I drive
Yeah.
I drive
do
30
that.
minutes for work and then 2 hours to see my family, so yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's true.
Yep.
It's similar down here, but that's because of traffic, not because of distance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Inch and creep around here.
Okay. Linda's teasing me. She says I have my own sign, just follow that. It could be true. Just north of me is actually Don's Creek, right?
Oh,
Creek. Like it's Don's Creek, and it's a whole river named after me. Thank you, Linda.
how
You
funny.
just got to come south. Linda's our Canadian, so we love her. Um, yeah, Linda says she has post-it notes all over her desk. That's
Yes.
great.
I
Yeah.
am the same. I have a very messy desk. So yeah, Linda, you're in good company with us.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Well, I guess real quick. For Jennifer's question, do I work on more than one project at a time? I mean, I do, but I'm normally not drafting 2 projects at a time. I'm normally like maybe editing one and, doing admin work or getting files uploaded and stuff and maybe writing on another. I like to only write one thing at a time because I get confused enough about everything else that then I start calling the heroine by the wrong name and, I get all that stuff mixed up. Um, but I want to know, speaking of working on multiple projects at a time and keeping them straight, I want to know from Mary, are you like a very detailed plotter then? Or when you're ghostwriting, I'm assuming you get, probably a pretty solid plot, pretty detailed plot from someone. So it's just more kind of following what they've already laid out for you. Is that accurate? Or
Sometimes they'll just say, okay, I want a book that has these tropes. Put together a plot and an outline for me. And then once I send that to them, then they approve it or want their changes. And then I send that to them. So other times they know exactly what they're looking for. So
okay,
everybody's a little bit different.
depends.
Hmm. Yeah. But I honestly, when I first started writing, I was a pantser. I didn't plot
Mhm.
anything. I just kind of went with it. And it lacked a lot of cohesion. And so
Okay.
for my own books, I do just kind of a skeleton outline. Just this is, I want to go here, go to this part of the arc, and I use a spreadsheet to tell me when certain parts should happen, when they should have their
Mhm.
first kiss and all of that fun
Mhm.
stuff. It's a great tool I found online. I can't recall whose blog it was on, but it's great. It helps you keep on that 3 arc structure or
Mhm.
3 structure, excuse me. But when my clients, yes, I make sure that they have a very detailed outline because I don't
Mhm.
want there to be any surprises when they get their book.
Right.
'Cause rewrite, it costs time, which costs money. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm
So
not sure I'd be able to write just to a straight plot like that because my characters always take detours.
don't they?
Yes,
yeah, I was
that
just
would
gonna
be
say
that would
that.
be hard for me.
Yeah.
So you have to be a plotter then. I mean, do you let yourself be a pantser when it's for you, when you're
Yeah.
writing for you?
Yeah. Everyone, especially with the shorter books, like the 20 or
Mhm.
30,000 word books, I can get away with that for myself. And I don't feel so rigid and stressed about it when I do it that way for sure.
Mhm.
And it is fun to just kind of let the characters decide where it's going to go.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yep. Have you ever had a situation where maybe a ghostwriting client wants things to be a certain way and you just can't get the characters to go there? I mean,
I'm I'm usually we can work it out. I
okay.
can't say there has been one particular client that I had that she had this one book that she loved. She was in love with, written by somebody else, and she wanted the book written exactly like that, just change the
Oh,
characters.
yeah.
And I mean, and I had to tell her no. I said I had to cancel her contract and tell her I'm not going to do this. I'm as a writer myself, I would not want somebody to do that to me,
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right.
So that's really the only time I think I've ever had to say no, I can't help you.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because my characters, I don't know. We've had the conversation on here before, where, it's like my husband will say, "You're in charge," like you created them. Just,
Oh,
I'll
it's
say like how'd the writing go? I'll be like, "It was rough today. They wouldn't do what I want them to do," and he's like, "I don't understand. You're in
Just say
charge. You created them." And it's like sometimes no, you come up with the idea and you kind of, put up a
hmm
little bit of scaffolding and then they kind of like take off. And if there's something they don't want to do, then
yeah.
it's like
yeah.
planned it wrong or and then I go off course a little bit, but it always
Yeah.
turns out, for me at least, it always turns out to be better than what I had planned. So,
Mhm. Well, let's hear from Mary
yes, let's.
before our time gets too far gone and we just keep talking because we will have some more questions. And if you have any more questions, post them now so we can get them in our light up. And Mary, you are now up there by yourself. And as soon as I'm
Okay.
done talking, you are alone completely.
Okay, awesome. So, just for a little bit of context, I'm reading from Hot Revenge. What this story is about is a high powered attorney named Chase. He walks into a compromising position and finds his best friend tangled up with his girlfriend. And he is devastated. And it's really not that he was in love with the girl, she was really just kind of arm candy. Um, but he's out for revenge. And the best way he can think to do that is to go after his best friend's little sister because he knows she's had a crush on him since they were in high school. Even though they're friends, his rage has kind of taken over, and so that's how the story starts. Once obviously feelings get caught and things get messy, then it's she finds out, and then it becomes more of a mission of trying to salvage it and keep her from leaving him and fixing the situation. So I guess the best place to start would be chapter 1. So this is going to be from Chase's perspective. Okay, it says, whoever said life begins at 30 didn't account for a man like me. I've already done it all, gotten the job, the money, the house, the girl. I've got a corner office in one of the most prestigious law firms in the city, and an impressive list of clients that spans more than just a page or two in the company's directory. My name's on the building, and I've got a view of the ocean to go along with my success. It's only right that the city lights are turned on for me on my 30th birthday. It's the perfect evening. The party's in full swing, and I'm the life of it as usual. My penthouse condo is packed with people, coworkers, clients, and friends from the country club. They've all come from all over the city, and the one thing they have in common is the fact that they're here for me. My girlfriend Monica is somewhere around here too. I haven't seen much of her tonight, but I'm not at all concerned about that. We're not serious, and we both know it. The relationship was only ever about appearances. A hot blonde with big boobs and a nice butt. I'm censoring here. I can introduce her to the right people and have fun taking her to bed when I feel like it. It's the perfect arrangement, and I know better than to mess with perfection. I'm on the outside balcony catching a breather. The Florida heat is sweltering. The ocean breeze is a little cooler, though, and I take a deep breath of the salty air. I look out over the water and admire the skyline. Sarasota is a beautiful city, and I never tire of the view. I have it, and I deserve it. Another drink, Derek asks, sidling up to me with a bottle of scotch and 2 glasses in hand. He's been my best friend since elementary school. We grew up together, went to the same schools, and played on the same sports teams. We're practically brothers. I'd do anything for him, and I know he'd do the same for me. Yeah, thanks, I say, taking the glass from him. We toast to my birthday and clink our glasses together before savoring a sip. Happy birthday, man, Derek says, smacking me on the back. The big 3-0. How does it feel? Honestly, not that much different, I admit with a laugh. I thought it'd be a little bit more significant, like the start of a new chapter or something, but I guess it's just another day. Don't be such a pessimist, Derek says, nudging my shoulder. Look around you. You're 30 and you're living the life. What more could you ask for? He has a point. My condo is packed with people. There are more empty bottles on the bar than full ones, and the music is blaring loud enough to shake the windows. I don't know where my girlfriend is, but again, that's not important. I can have any woman I want, and I can see several potential candidates already casting suggestive glances my way on the other side of the massive sliding glass door that separates the balcony from the living room. Yeah, you're right. I clink my glass against his again. Of course I'm right, he replies, tossing his head back and downing the rest of the drink. I swirl the remnants of amber liquid around and ask, where's David tonight? I thought she was going to make it. Derek shrugs and leans back against the balcony railing. Some kind of work thing. I try to hide my disappointment, but I can't keep the corners of my mouth from turning down in a slight frown. She's not really one for parties anyway, Derek adds. No, she's not, I agree, but I still thought she might come. She could have at least called. Derek lifts his shoulders again and turns his back to me, looking out over the water. Don't be so sensitive, Chase. She's a busy woman. You know that. I do know that. David is one of the hardest working persons I know. She's a marketing manager for a large advertising company, and she works tirelessly to keep her clients and bosses happy. She rarely goes out, but I thought she'd at least make an exception for my birthday. I can't deny that I'm a little hurt. Yeah, well, the least she could have done was text, I mutter, taking a sip of my drink. Derek doesn't respond, and I take that as my cue to drop the subject. The last thing I want is for him to think that I'm being too pushy about his sister. He's always been protective of her, and I know better than to cross that line. He's made it very clear exactly where that line was when we were teenagers, and I've been trying to keep myself in check ever since. Oh, there's Paul, Derek says, nodding over his shoulder toward a man coming in through the front door. I've been meaning to talk to him about a business deal. I'll see you later. He claps me on the shoulder and heads inside, leaving me alone on the balcony. In the ever-growing crowd inside, I catch a glimpse of Monica's white dress and her long blonde hair as she leans over the counter and laughs at something the bartender I hired for the night says. Her breasts are pushed up in her dress, and I can tell she's not wearing a bra. She's gorgeous. She's a model, or she used to be. The entertainment industry has had its way with her when she was younger. Chewed her up and spit her out the way it tends to do with pretty faces, but she landed on her feet, and she's recently turned her attention to the world of high-end fashion. I met her a few years ago when I was working on a case for a client who was in a car accident. Monica was a witness. After that, we started dating, and things have been great. I know I shouldn't complain. Most guys would kill for a girlfriend like Monica, but there's a part of me that wishes things were a little different. Monica and I are nothing alike. She's vapid and vain. We don't share any interests or hobbies, and I can't remember the last time we had an actual conversation about anything meaningful. Still, she's good company. She's good in bed and not a total bore. I watch her lean over the bar a little farther and push her tits up more. The bartender's gaze travels south, and she gives him a playful smile. I roll my eyes. She's obviously flirting with him. If David was here, she'd have a snarky remark to make. She'd give the bartender a stern look and tell him off for being unprofessional. She'd scold me for letting Monica get away with behaving like that, and she'd probably slap me upside the head for good measure. That's the kind of person Dava is, a firecracker. She's not afraid to speak her mind or call people out on their bull crap. It's something I've always admired about her, but she's not here. I'm not going to let that spoil my mood, though. It's my birthday, and I'm going to make the most of it. I head back inside and make my way through the crowd. Someone hands me a fresh drink, and it isn't long before I'm back in the thick of the party. People are talking, laughing, and dancing. It's a great party. Everyone's having a good time, and I should be too. I catch a glimpse of Derek through the crowd and watch as he heads down the hallway to my bedroom. A second later, a flash of white fabric catches my eye, and I see Monica's dress floating behind her as she follows behind him. Well, that's interesting. Very interesting. I take a long swig of my drink and set it down on the nearest flat surface. I'm not a jealous guy. At least I've never considered myself to be a jealous guy. Monica is always flirting with other men. I know for a fact she even slept with some guy the last time she went with me to Vegas for a conference. I couldn't care less. Our relationship is purely superficial. Sex and convenient social companionship. She's not my wife. She's my arm candy. But this is different. This is my best friend. What the bleep is going on? My feet carry me toward the bedroom without thinking, and I shove my way through the crowd as I try to make my way to my room. By the time I reach the hallway, the door is already closed, and I can hear muffled voices coming from behind the other side. A sick feeling rises in my gut, and I'm suddenly very glad I didn't have dinner before the party. The last thing I'd want to do is vomit all over my new carpet. I stand frozen in front of the door. My hand is raised, hovering inches away from the doorknob, and it takes me all of 30 seconds to decide what to do next. Before I can talk myself out of it, I turn the handle and burst into the room. The door swings open and slams against the wall, and there they are. Derek is standing there with his hands on the zipper that travels down the back of Monica's dress, and they're both staring at me with wide eyes. They're completely still, like two deer caught in the headlights of a speeding truck, and my stomach clenches into a knot. What the heck, Derek? I shout, storming across the room. Are you bleeping kidding me? Derek steps back and puts his hands in the air. Calm down, Chase, he says with a squeak in his voice. It's not what it looks like. The hell it isn't, I growl and snatch him by the collar and shove him back away from Monica. What the heck are you doing? Nothing happened, Derek insists. We were just what? I yell, getting up in his face. Trying to screw my girlfriend? You're a real piece of crap, you know that? Derek opens his mouth to say something, but I don't give him the chance. I pull my fist back and land a solid punch right on his jaw. He stumbles backward and crashes into the nightstand, knocking over the lamp. Chase, stop, Monica cries, throwing herself in between us. You shut up, I snap at her. I grab Derek by the shirt again and shove him up against the wall. He's taller than me, and if I'm honest, he's got me way outgunned, but I've got him by surprise. He's not ready for me to throw a punch, and I manage to connect with his eye. His head slams back against the wall, and I hear the crunch of plaster and drywall giving away. Hands grab me, and someone's trying to pry me off Derek. Screw off, I say, elbowing him in the face. There more hands seize me, and a couple guys start dragging me back. What the heck, Chase, someone says. I shrug them off and glare at Derek. Get the bleep out, I hiss. Blood dribbles down his chin as he gawks at me. You can't be serious, he replies. As a heart attack, I growl, pointing at the door, and if I see you anywhere near my place again, you're dead. Derek opens his mouth, but I don't wait to hear what he has to say. I turn around and leave the room. Monica's right behind me, tugging at my arm, but I yank it away from her and yell, and you get out too. Chase, wait, she cries, chasing after me. I ignore her and stalk into the living room. A crowd is gathered around the hallway, and everyone's looking at me like I'm the crazy one. And maybe I am. Hell, I'm a lawyer. I know darn good and well if Derek decides to call the cops on me, he can press charges. Everyone saw me beat the crap out of him. Oh well. I have more than enough money to post bail. Party's over, I snap. Everyone stares at me like I've grown a second head, but I don't give a flying crap. There are very few people in this life I trust, and I just found out one of them is a backstabbing son of a gun. Get the heck out of my house. I don't have to say it a third time. People scatter. They grab their coats, their purses, all their crap, and they rush out the door. No one wants to hang around to find out how far gone I really am.
Okay.
Yikes.
Yes. Your husband, and I flashed that on there, said you're all in for a big treat, but he was not kidding when he said that to us, for sure.
Yeah,
I
I enjoyed
mean,
that very much.
yes. If I was the girlfriend though, I would, and he said you shut up, I would be like,
I
what?
know. I think that's kind of the best thing about this book, though, and a lot of the reviews have mentioned it too, is that you really kind of watch him grow from this really narcissistic kind of playboy that acts like the world revolves around him into somebody with a great heart and more depth. It's a process throughout the book, but I think that's probably my favorite part of it.
Yeah.
No, I'm just gonna. Sorry, I'm just gonna put that up there. Don't stop. Okay. Yes, Dylan, sorry. I interrupted you.
It's okay. I was just going to say that it's always like I always love seeing the couple, fall in love and all that, but it's like extra super sweet when you can see, a hero that kind of comes into himself and really grows. So
it's the modern Beauty and the Beast kind of situation,
kinda,
right?
yeah.
Like the Beast is just a jerk and you just want to just kill the Beast.
Right.
And then he turns into not being. So if you can pull that pull that off as an author, you're amazing. So, I'm just like, I really love your book right now.
Oh, that was really good.
Yeah.
That wasn't the whole first chapter, but if I kept going, it was going to run us into overtime. So I found a stop.
All right. Sometimes that happens, and when we get lost in a book, we don't even notice. So. Let's see. I did see some questions come through.
Yeah.
So Jennifer wants to know, who would you cast as the main characters? And I'm assuming she's asking in the book that you were reading from.
Speaking of Yellowstone, I don't know the gentleman's name, but the 1923. I think he would make a good Chase.
What is it? Brendan Skell something or other.
Yeah, I'm not
I can't
sure.
say his last name either. I'm gonna Google it.
Mhm.
He
I
was
don't
in
know that.
um he was also in oh my god. Now I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, that one
Yeah.
with Blake Lively. That's
Yeah, yeah.
It Ends with Us.
Thank you.
There
I'm
we
like,
go.
not This Is the End of Us.
Right. I always say that too.
I know. Brandon Sklenar. I don't
Yeah,
know how
that.
you say his last name, but Sklenar, something like
Sounds
that.
good. Sounds
Yeah.
accurate.
Oh my gosh, you guys, he's only 34 years old. I mean,
Oh
Oh,
my.
he's
it's all
baby.
right. It's all
Well,
right.
I mean that fits Chase's age-ish. I mean, close
Yep.
enough, right?
Yep. Totally accurate. Yep.
Yeah. And I
Yep.
really can't think of anybody for Deva. Like
We didn't get
maybe,
to meet her, so yeah, we don't know.
yeah. I guess who's that actress that plays Snow White? See, I'm so bad about that stuff because I don't watch a
Which
ton.
Snow White? Like Snow
The
White.
live
in-
action.
The new one, yeah.
I'm Googling that too
I
because I have
haven't
no
watched
idea.
um
Rachel Zegler.
yeah, I think she probably fits her description quite well.
Hmm.
Okay.
She's kind of got that tanner complexion with the dark hair and dark eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I've seen her in some other stuff. She can have an attitude, which is what you need for Deva. So
Mm. Clearly, you have to have one feisty heroine, and I love a feisty heroine. That's my
Mhm,
favorite.
for
Like,
sure.
honestly, I think anybody that has to deal with an alpha male has to be feisty. Otherwise, it's not going to work out. So,
Nope. Oh,
yeah.
Linda says he could be my son, but I can still appreciate him. Speaking of
Oh,
people who
Linda.
are that are too young, I'm assuming you guys did see the Robert Irwin undies commercial
Mm-mm.
or the undies ad for
I remember I don't have television.
it was on my Facebook feed. It's an ad, not a
I have not seen your Facebook feed. Facebook
okay.
doesn't
Yeah,
show me anything I actually look at anymore.
it's been
Yeah.
Only
all over mine.
shows me stuff I doesn't.
He's, the crocodile hunter,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
his
Okay.
son that just turned 21, I think, and he is doing an underwear commercial for Bonds undies that I guess, I don't know.
Oh, my word.
Where's our Australian tonight? Does she?
I didn't see. Deanna didn't say hi. I'm not sure if she's here,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm sure that's
Deanna,
blowing
if
up
you're
all over on
here,
the other side of the world. So,
yeah,
um,
Deanna, if you're here, tell us what you think about the underwear ad.
he would be another good character or another good,
Yes.
I don't know that he's an actor, but yeah, he's definitely, when you saw like Zac Efron in High School Musical and then you turned around
Mhm.
and you saw him in, something else and you're like, whoa,
He's
what
playing the
What
happened
dad.
there?
happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That kills
the same
me.
kind of thing.
Yeah, I
Same
haven't
kind
seen
of thing. It's like,
it, but
yeah,
that's crazy to think he's old enough
yep,
to be doing that.
I know, right? So sorry, I kind of took us off track. It's been all over my Facebook feed though for the past couple days. I mean, everybody was talking about it, so it was.
Hmm.
Linda's calling out Deanna right now. She was here at the beginning. Where is she
Yep,
now?
yep.
She's
I don't know
calling
because
her
we
out.
can't
So,
see unless someone comments. We can't see who's actually watching.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
But we have
Oh,
a big fan question though. We should
yes. Okay. Where's that?
uh
The one that I need to put up there?
7:55. Haley.
Oh. Oh, I don't see that one.
Do you want I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yeah, you pop it up there. I don't see it.
Here we go.
Oh, yes, I did
Aw.
see that one. Oh, there it
You
is.
have a
Okay.
big fan.
Aw.
Yes.
I
And
can't, let's see. If you could spend a day with another author, one that you were a fan of, that's easy.
Wow.
Coco Elliott. Oh my goodness, Coco Elliott. I love her books so much. Honestly, I do. She is such a great writer and she's a wonderful person to boot. She lives over in London though, so the chances of that happening anytime soon are not great, but I will make it over there to see her.
Okay, listen. You come up to Montana and we'll take a flight to London because I always want to go to London. So and
Yeah?
my husband doesn't like to travel. So let's go. Me and you. We'll just jump ship and go.
That sounds great. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
My
You
daughter's
shouldn't have
going.
to backtrack. I was gonna say, I think you'd be better off flying straight from Florida. Otherwise, you're gonna, yeah.
You would.
Yep.
It's going to be expensive coming from Missoula. That's a very
Yeah,
small
I don't
airport.
think that's a very good idea, Dawn, but nice try.
Maybe I'll
Okay.
come visit you then.
You come to Tampa, and then we can
Okay.
just
Nice try.
puddle jump.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Nice
That's
try.
less expensive. Sure.
So we don't have any other questions. People are very quiet tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also a little bit past our hour.
Oh.
Yes. Okay. But before we go, I do have one question.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious about this because as a ghostwriter,
Mhm.
is it super hard? I mean, if you see a book that you wrote that
Mhm.
hits, like New York Times or USA Today, or, hits really high in the Kindle store and you're like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
that's my
Mhm.
book. But, I can't say it. Is that, I mean, obviously you make peace with that if you're a
Yeah.
ghostwriter, but I don't think we've ever had a ghostwriter or someone who
No,
No.
is
that's
a
a first.
self-proclaimed ghostwriter on the show before. And so I'm just curious, does that
Mhm.
eat you up inside or are you happy?
It doesn't really bother me. I am not a spotlight kind of person. Like,
Mhm.
I had one book signing in my entire career,
Mm.
and I was so sick to my stomach I could never do another one again. So
Oh.
this right here is very difficult for me. So that doesn't bother me at all. As long I get paid pretty well for ghostwriting, probably more than I make on a typical one of my own books. So
Mm.
that's really what counts to me, is that it does well and readers like it, and
Mhm.
my clients are happy, and I'm okay with that.
Okay, have any of them hit the shelves, like Walmart shelves or anything like that that you know of?
I don't know about Walmart, but definitely Barnes and Noble
Okay,
and BAM.
so if you go in Barnes Noble, will you ever open it and then see like a complete stranger and be like, I actually wrote this, and then like disappear really fast?
No. I have not even my husband knows my clients' names, honestly. I take
Oh,
NDAs very seriously, because I
good
mean
for
that's
you.
You have to.
yeah, that's how I make my
That's
living. If I screw
that's
that
your
up once, it doesn't work
reputation
again.
too. Nobody
Yeah,
wants to work with a ghostwriter that is going to violate an NDA.
exactly.
Yeah. Oh,
So
stupid
you're very
NDA.
feisty tonight, Dawn. Simmer
I
down there,
am.
Dawn.
I love it though. I mean,
You're
I've
putting
had
her
a
on the
day,
spot.
so
Simmer down. Simmer down.
But you know what? I will say, circling back to that question you asked me, Dylan, sometimes when I go into my clients' bios and I see, I enjoy writing romance, I have to giggle to myself a little bit. And I'll say to myself, you enjoy paying people to write your romance. But
Aw.
that's as far as it goes.
Yeah.
I almost feel like I know who you're talking about. So we'll talk later.
I'm pretty sure out of the thousands of people who write contemporary romance, Dawn, I'm
I don't
just
know. You might know
and
too.
even if you do guess and it's right, she's not going to tell you.
She just has to not say anything, and then she didn't say anything. So
Nope. All right. Well, we are over time. So, Mary, why don't you tell people where the best place is to find you if they want to read more of your books, because your books are
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, probably the place I'm most active is going to be Facebook. It's, I think, facebook.com/author M.E. Taylor. That's where I can't get into the TikTok and all of that. And I don't know.
mhm.
Facebook is where you can find my newsletter and sign up for that. And then you can keep abreast of everything that way.
Great. Well, hopefully this has not been too painful for you.
No,
Yeah.
you've made
You
it very
actually
fun.
did. You
Good.
did so amazing. Like
Thank
we had a
you.
lot of
Yeah, I
fun
wouldn't
with
have
you.
guessed. I would not have
No,
guessed that this was out of your comfort zone. I think,
yeah,
yeah.
you did
Thank
great.
you. I appreciate that.
You should be a regular. You,
With so many books coming out, I would love to. That would be awesome.
yeah.
Well, we'll definitely have to have you back. So
Yeah.
Thank
thanks for everybody who joined us tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed hearing from Mary and Eve.
Yeah. And
It's so
Eve.
weird to say, like, yeah. It's so weird when you're the one of the hostesses and also pitching in to be a guest. So it's not.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what though? Here, real quick. I did say I'd show the cover. There. I
Yeah.
pulled it up on my Kindle. Oh, you know what? You can't really see it very
It's
well, can
fuzzy.
you?
All I see is his abs. It's okay.
Well, you know what? That's all you need to see right
important
there.
part.
There you go.
Yeah.
The rest of the
Right
cover
there.
is equally as exciting. I know because I have my
Really.
background blurred, so I forgot you can't see it. So never mind.
That's okay. That's okay. We enjoyed his abs. It's
All
okay.
right. Well, there you go. All right.
All
Well,
right.
thanks for being with us, Mary. We appreciate it.
We
Thank
do.
you.
We will let you get back to your husband, your super supportive, awesome husband.
Okay.
Good job, Darren. Yeah. And All right. Well, we will see you in 2 weeks, right, Dylan? 2 weeks.
Yes, I won't be
Last.
here in 2 weeks. You're gonna be going
Well,
solo, so
I will. I will be
or with the
solo.
guest hostess, yes, so
I
because I
sure
will be
hope
out of town.
so. I haven't found one yet, so I sure hope so.
Okay, well,
If
you should
not,
get
I'll
one of our
I'll wing
viewers.
it.
You
Yeah.
should get one
Hey,
of our viewers to be a guest hostess with you. I think you
hey,
should,
Linda. Linda,
yeah,
you want to be a guest host with me? Just message me afterwards.
we'll follow up.
Yeah, we'll follow up.
Alright.
Linda. Okay. All right. We will see you in a few weeks. And thank you for joining us at Romance Happy Hour. And thank you, Mary, for coming. We totally enjoyed it. It was amazing. So
Thank you.
see you
Thanks.
next time.
Bye.
Bye.